One, for sure.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the DNA Sports Show, where we bring you talk of all sports around the globe. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome two-time Stanley Cup champion Scott Gomez.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for being on.
Yeah, thank you for being on.
No problem. Just make sure the paycheck comes in.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid for this, right?
Yeah, once I get paid, you can get paid.
Oh, okay, all right.
So, let's hop right in. So, obviously, you won the Calder Trophy as a rookie. And this year, there's a pretty interesting Calder race going on between two very elite defensemen named Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes. I want to hear your take on the skill level it takes to win the award, and can you weigh in on who you think has the edge in voting?
Well, it's a good question. I think the main thing when you're a rookie is you don't realize, first of all, I mean, I played in the WHL, so we had a lot of games, but you're playing against grown men now. The consistency you have to keep throughout the year. Because it's like anything throughout your whole career, you go through spurts. And I was fortunate that the team I was on, we were a Stanley Cup contender, the players I played with. But yeah, it's, when you're young, you pay attention more to like what other younger guys are doing. So I knew my competition was Mike York from the Rangers, Simone Gagne, Alex Tanguay from the Avalanche. So yeah, it's a mind. It messes with your mind all year because you think you might have a bad game, and you look and the other rookies are having a great game, and it's the guy that basically. I mean, our rookie class is really great, and it's the guy that can stay that level, stay consistent, and like I said, it was a great honor, it was a great reward. You're with the list of guys. No matter what happens in your career, you're part of a fraternity that, at least for 1 year, you were the best at that your age group, so to say. And, I don't know what's going to happen this year with those two guys. They've done great. The position, it used to be more – I'm still the same. I mean, defense is probably a little harder to when you're coming up in the league just because you're dealing with so many offensive grade stars. So, whoever gets it, well, welcome to the club for sure.
Okay.
What do you guys think? Or Jack, go ahead.
I have a question. You talked about staying consistent throughout the year. What kind of off-ice training do you use to stay consistent?
Well, when the season starts, it's different. I mean, you're maintaining your shape. You're keeping in shape. They have, but I think one thing about our Devils teams, and Larry Robinson, Slava Tisov are so great at realizing was, and I was a young kid, so it didn't really matter for me, but the older guys, rest is really, really important. And I think the league and just the way the technology, everything has come, that people forget that some of the best off-ice training is just getting your rest, because it's a grind. You're playing night in, night out against grown men. The competition, it's a job. It's so high intense that, I think back in the old days, even before I got in, having a day off was a bad thing. Teams would maybe not get the rest and nutrition they needed. So it's definitely changing nowadays. I mean, after games, we used to drink a lot of beers after. I don't think kids really do that much. So the technology has definitely gotten better. And, but the sleep and the rest is something that is really, really important.
Okay.
I want to go back to the Calder race this year. I know especially Mark and Saf, you guys are going to have opinions on this. So who do you guys think is winning the Calder this year?
I personally think that Cale Makar is going to win it. I just think that he's been better overall. And also, like Scott mentioned, consistency is key. And I think Makar's been more consistent than Hughes this year.
I would have to agree with Mark. I think Makar is going to win. I think he's been great for that Avalanche team and has really helped that defense become a top team in the league.
So let's look at the stats. Quinn Hughes played 68 games, 8 goals, 45 apples, for 53 points, but he was minus 10. And Makar, on the other hand, played only 57 games, 12 points, 38 assists, also 50 points. He was plus 12. Even though Makar played less games, he was still able to keep up stat-wise, only had 3 less points, and also had a better plus minus, and it wasn't even close. So just by that virtue, I'm also going to have to agree with Cale Makar. More successful team. They have a really bright future, the Avalanche do. Daniel, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Scott, do you want to say something?
No, I was going to say, one thing about the plus minus thing you guys got to realize is that it's a really, really touchy stat for the point of 1 year I was minus 13 and I was out there for 11 6-on-5 goals. So that still counted against my plus minus. So it wasn't, I'm still out there at the end of the game when we're down a goal and we have an extra guy. And, if they score an empty net, that's, I don't know how fair that is. But so the plus minus sometimes can be a trick. You have to know the whole situation, what goes on with that. And I wasn't a defensive guy at all. So some of it was deserved, but.
Yeah, so I have to agree with Alex, Mark, and JSAP. Looking over the stats, he's only 3 points, and he missed more. I mean, he played many less games, so I'm gonna have to agree with you guys.
Yeah.
All right. So
go
go ahead.
Sorry. No, you're good.
So I was just going to say I want to move on to another subject. From one Hughes brother to the next, I want to talk a little bit about Jack Hughes. I mean, Scott, you being a Devils center, you had multiple stints with them. What would you say it's like, the culture to be a New Jersey Devil, a young guy coming in, playing center and playing an important role on the team?
Well, it's way different, and it was a different time with the Devils when I got there. Lou Lamoriello was there. He ran a really, really tight ship. That's not the case. Not taking anything away from the Devil, but it's just not the way it is. When I walked in, I had probably 20 games that they let me be a rookie, and then Claude Lemieux and Bobby Holik, I think I messed up in a game, and I said to them, "Well, I'm just a rookie." Use that as an excuse. And they grabbed me and said, "Then go down to Albany because you're not here for that anymore. You're here to help us win a Stanley Cup." So I grew up with if you look at the roster I came into, it wasn't like I came into a roster that the team was struggling. I mean, we were already battling for a Stanley Cup. And, Jersey's a special place, still a great organization. And people forget how hard the NHL is. It's sure the kid's going to have a great future, but in saying that, he probably, stepped into a situation where wow, maybe the competition, maybe it's, to find your groove and to get going. Maybe it takes guys a little longer. I didn't start center until I was probably, I don't know, 50 games in. I played wing to start my career just because that's where they put me. That's where they wanted me to learn. And so that was important. But in center, playing center in the National Hockey League, when you're that young and coming in, it's tough. It's probably one of the most hardest positions there are.
Did you grow up as a center or a wing?
No, I was always a center. And when I made the team, they slotted me on the wing. And, it actually was easier because Randy McKay told me that you just got to go down one line to kind of help me out, whatever, because the center, you're going down against, Eric Lindros is down in the corner now. Matt Sundin's there. It's a tough position. So I was lucky enough, and I was pissed at the time, but I was fortunate that I started out in the wing and I worked my way into being a center. But I've always been a center.
That's something I can't really relate to. My brother Alex has been stuck to one position, defense. Well, no, you used to play on the offense, right?
I did play wing for a little bit, but I mean, mostly I've been a defenseman, and that's where I play now. That's where I'm going to play next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's wherever you fit in. That's the key.
Yeah.
As long as you're playing, they'll tell you to play defense. As long as you're on the ice and you're playing, you'll do it. So
you were talking about playing against guys like Matt Sundin and Eric Lindros. How glad were you to have Scott Stevens on your side when puck went into the corner?
Well, yeah, I mean, we had tremendous D. I mean, Scotty Stevens, Scott Niedermeyer, Ken Danico, Colin White, Brian Rafalski. I mean, there's Hall of Famers in there. You took it for granted also because, Scotty was just, I mean, he was the hardest working guy on our team. So when the captain's the hardest working guy, everyone falls into place. But as far as like being scared that Scotty Stevens was on the ice, I never had to feel that. But I remember my buddies that were my age and other guys around the league, they would always tell you that when Scotty Stevens is on the ice, you better have your head up, and it's a different feel, it's a different vibe because this guy knew how to just rock people. It was an art. He was the hardest competitor, but he knew how to line a guy up, and I'm really fortunate. I never really had to play against a guy like that.
What about do people get that same impression from Ken Danico?
Yeah, no, Dano different. Dano was Kenny was the king. His nickname, the King. He was nasty around the net, and Dano was a guy that would, you talk about players that give it your heart and soul night in, night out. That was Ken Danico. I mean, he brought it. He was intense. He knew his job. He knew his position well, and he was he would do anything for the team and the New Jersey Devils. That Dano. I mean, all those guys would, but Dano was definitely a heart and soul guy of our team.
I always got that impression from him. I'm really glad to hear you say that.
Well, he's the best. There's no better teammate. Still a lifelong friend. Love the guy to death. But Ken Danico was one of the, he's one of my special friends that I got to know and be on a team with him. And but what you saw on the ice is there's nothing fake about Ken Danico. He was heart and soul. I mean, he'd do anything, put his body. I mean, he was so tough that he was scary in his own right.
Yeah.
So, Scott, you mentioned guys like obviously Danico, Stevens, Colin White, and then also guys you have Niedermeyer, and then you have Elias up front, and obviously Brodeur backstopping guys. And you went on to win 2 Stanley Cups with them. How do you describe the raw emotion and the feeling that you get when you hear the final buzzer and you realize that it's over, you're the champion?
Well, the first one we won, we played that triple overtime game in Game 5 at home, and it was a letdown. We didn't win it there. It would have been great, but then the next game was double overtime. So at that point,
Elias or not, who could forget?
Yeah, and at that point, you're just thinking, the emotions, everything. I mean, being young, you just kind of want this to get over, like whoever. I mean, you can't explain what's going on, but that's where the veterans come through. I mean, they. The Claude Lemieux, Bobby Holik's, Randy McKay's, they just kept an even keel. They knew how to, Scotty's, both Scotty's. I mean, and especially when you have Marty, probably one of the best ever in net. But as far as when the buzzer went off, it was more, it's over. Like, yes, this is over. I remember, I was young, so I couldn't believe this was happening my first year, and all the guys were letting me know that. But in saying that, we didn't even really party that hard after the Dallas win because guys were exhausted. And I mean, we made up for it after, but that first night we won the cup, everyone assumes that it was just some wild, crazy party. But no, we went back to we partied a little bit in the locker room. We went back to the hotel and we had a dinner, and guys were just exhausted. It was like, and it was an older team, but it was quite the accomplishment. And you realize that just being able to being in that situation, that's all you ever want to do the rest of your career is just get a chance to win the Stanley Cup, because it was unreal.
Yeah, I can't imagine the feeling, but yeah, you work hard and you earn it. Yeah,
and it's you gotta have luck. It's a 2-month grind, and when it's done, it's it's a special moment. It's you're connected with those guys for the rest of your life. We just had our 20-year reunion for the first cup, and I mean, it's like nothing's ever changed when we all get together. You're still a kid again, and I mean, it's a special time, and it's a bond that you'll always have with those guys.
Do you have the rings with you right now?
No, I don't know. My parents got them somewhere. I think they're in a bank somewhere. So I gotta, but no, they're pretty big. So guys like Dano and Ken Danico and Scotty Stevens. The rings look really good on them because they got big hands, Claude Lemieux. But guys that got little finger, I mean, yeah, that looks like I'm asking someone to rob me if I wear mine.
So like you said, you just had the 20-year reunion. We were actually at that. I was at that game at least, and it was really cool to see all the awards and the memorabilia, and obviously the cup was there. Obviously, it's a little before our time, like when it actually happened, but it's still awesome to like see like what the NHL was like and how much it's changed even in the past 20 years. And I know you retired, like like recently, like 2016 was it?
Yeah, I think so. It's been 4 years, I think.
So
Now.
yeah. So how would you say like not really since you retired, but early in your career, how would you say the NHL has changed from then to now? And what are some like key things that have really evolved with the game?
Well, I mean, obviously the game right now, it's way better. I mean, it's just the way it is. The athlete's better. The kids growing up, they play hockey 12 months out of the year. We weren't like that. Every guy seems like they can dangle at the speed of it. It's just the technology of the game. It's gotten better, and that's just the way it is. But I caught both of it where when I came in, you could still grab a guy and hook and hold them all the way down the ice, and it looked like you were working hard, but literally you're just holding. I mean, it was definitely more violent. It was definitely, you got away with more. To be in front of the net, to really understand what getting a cross check or seeing cross check from Ken Danico or Colin White in front of the net. I mean, it was a different time, it was a different game. Not the violence, I shouldn't say violence, but we had fighters. Guys knew they were going to fight that night. It was a built up. There was more maybe protection, but in saying that, the game is, the game. I mean, you watch an NHL hockey game live. I mean, the speed is incredible. Every player's got skill. It's just the way they grew up. So yeah, the game's definitely going in the right direction. It's still a great game, but just as far as that, I think the one through four lines, I mean, are a lot more equal than they were back when I first stepped in.
All right.
So I think this is gonna. Go
yeah.
ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, we're about to run out of time. I think we're about to actually say the same thing. So do we have any more questions?
I just want to bring up something that's actually been in the news today. So Scott, you played. There was a lockout that you had to play through or play around, I should say.
Two of
And
them.
obviously with the current pandemic and the hiatus in the NHL, and we figured out about the confirmation of the new playoff format. So I want to hear your opinion on the seeding round robin tournament, and also if you think that the 24 teams is fair, unfair. I want to hear what you think.
Well, I won't lie to you. I've just got done golfing, so I haven't really. Is that what's going to happen? Is that a go? They're gonna do
24
that?
teams. They're going straight to the playoffs. They canceled the regular season, so that unfortunately means the Devils won't return until I think it's January. They said.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, we're all going through this. It's important, I guess, to play if it's ready. Guys, I'm sure whatever it is, you hear some guys maybe complain that it's too soon or whatever. But in the bigger picture, I mean, people are going to really benefit in watching hockey again. If you're not one of those teams that didn't get in, that's too bad. You should have had a better year. But I think for the guys playing, just knowing that you're playing for the NHL or playing for the Stanley Cup, the playoffs are starting. I mean, no matter how long you've been off, you're going to get revved up right away, and it'll be interesting. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? I mean, you could have been the top team all year. Who knows what guys were doing during the break or when this was going on? So yeah, it'd probably be a little more. I mean, people are craving to see hockey, and it might be a little more revved up. I mean, these guys are ready to go, and just to be able to get the chance to win the Stanley Cup, that's all you ask for. I mean, you want to be a part of the playoffs. That's all you care about.
Do you think the players will feel the same achievement winning the Stanley Cup this year compared to a regular format of a playoff?
You win the Stanley Cup, it's like those lockouts when the season was shortened, and no, it doesn't matter. There's no asterisk there. I mean, you still got to do it. You still got to beat all those teams. It's the way life is. It's the way where we're at right now. But anytime you get a chance to get your name on the Stanley Cup, you still got to win those playoff series, and you still got to go through that grind. So no, I know no anyone that feels that way. They're probably in the wrong profession, because no, it's going to be a battle to win that thing again, and that's what makes it special.
Absolutely. Okay.
Is that it, Daniel? Are we out of time?
Yeah, I think we're out of time. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you,
Scott,
guys.
thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining
Amazing.
us.
All right,
All the best.
I have to say one thing. Make sure to go shop Skybox Sports Collectibles. We'll put the phone number in the description, and if you mention our podcast, you get a free pack. All right, thank you again for watching.
And don't
Alright, guys.
forget, if you want to
Thank you
subscribe,
so much, Scott.
hit right here. If you want to subscribe, if you want to watch another video, hit right here. Our Instagram is in the description, so be sure to follow us there. And like Daniel said, Skybox phone number will be in the description as well. Mention our podcast when you purchase an order, and you will get a free pack. That's all for today. Scott, again, thanks so much for
Yep,
joining
thank
us, and
you.
we'll see you in the next
All right,
video.
guys.
I'm gonna go
Anytime,
call
boys.
Skybox. Thank you, Scott.